Florida State fans should be optimistic after DJ Uiagalelei's performance in the spring game.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time to talk a little Florida State passing game after DJ Uiagalelei had some impressive moments, and the passing game had some shots down the field, and we're going to get to that here in just a second on Locked On Seminoles. Please hit that notification bell and that subscription. I'd appreciate it if you also commented on YouTube. Today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. So let's dive into it. DJ Uiagalelei is the quarterback. He's the starter. He was the only guy that played today that was a scholarship QB for the Noles. And to be honest with you, I thought we would see very, very little. We did see a little more than I thought, and I'm happy to be wrong about that. It's nice to be wrong in that case because that means football is a little more fun. More play action, moving the offensive line around like they're running a trap, but it's a play that's going to go down the field. The play I'm actually most excited about was incomplete. It's a corner route when they pulled the guard and tackle around on a play action. That's old school 1990 Florida State football, deep shots, trying to hit vertical plays. And they also had a great pass on a fade route down this left sideline where Malik Benson caught a pass from DJ. Tremendous coverage. Fintrell Cypress was right there, but excellent adjustment to the football by Malik. And Uiagalelei put the ball where it needed to be. It was an NFL play all around, offense and defense. That's what Florida State football should be. Other things that I noticed, he wasn't afraid to hit the check down. Sometimes you got to take the 4-yard gain. I'm cool with that. Hitting tight ends underneath, hitting drag routes, hitting short 5 to 10-yard ends. Don't force the football. He did have one throw. It should have been picked by AZ. Thomas should have had that interception. DJ tried to force a seam route, overthrew it. Excuse me. And quite honestly, that should have been an interception. That was the only throw that I'm like, man, that's just a really bad read. Other than that, I mean, he missed some throws and the pressure was pretty good from the defensive line. I'll talk about that a little bit here in a few minutes. But overall, I was impressed because through spring, as I've noted many times on this show, and I'm sure many other people that you know have said the same, offenses do not get up to speed as fast as defense. Defense is downhill. It's more individualistic. One player can make a great play and the other 10 can fail, and it can still be 2nd and 17 because you get a sack. Offense needs more congruency, and it's more difficult. The offensive line struggled a little bit, and Ferguson, by the way, he was down with an injury. I don't know the latest on that, the transfer from the University of Alabama, really talented guard. Hated to see that, but it looked like that wasn't the greatest of injuries. We'll find out more in time. But the offensive line got pushed around a little bit here and there. Sometimes they pushed the D-line around. It was a pretty good matchup. But DJ, even when he was under duress, looked comfortable in the pocket. The footwork wasn't all scatterbrained. It wasn't spread out on one play, too close together on another. It was consistent and at least put the ball in a good area for most of the time that he was on the field. Now, with that being said, mixing and matching the offenses and defenses, again, favors the D. Congruent. There's never a change with that offense. Offense is boring in that sense. It's about a zillion reps with the exact same players. You just don't get enough of that in spring because you're trying everybody out. So there were a few ups and downs, but I just like the pocket presence. He has the arm strength still. He looks like he's confident throwing to the receivers down the field, especially Malik. There's no doubt now that Malik is their guy. That was very clear. And finally, DJ doesn't seem to have any problems like picking up the offense. He looked comfortable just in general. Walking around the field, the interview afterwards, I was quite happy with it. Also, I want to mention a couple other things about some other players. Mentioned Benson. It's clear the speed is there. That guy can really freaking run. There's no doubt about it. Malik Benson is a guy that can be a number one. Whether or not that continues in that direction and whether or not he can consistently gain separation against top-notch defensive backs, I don't know. We won't know until they play Georgia Tech and continue to move forward. But the speed and everything is there, and it's obvious DJ likes throwing him the football. So Florida State fans should be excited about that. Also, I think the D-line had some moments. Marvin Jones and different guys like that are going to be coming in and out of the line if they've got depth, etc. But even with like Farmer not playing and some other guys, they showed some promise. I was pretty happy with it. And to be honest with you, I didn't really know what to expect. But from the outset, there were several guys that would either push an offensive lineman back or get around the edge, etc., and do some nice things. And that's all you can really ask for. In the spring game, they're not going to allow them to get near the quarterback much. They just can't do it. They already had 2 quarterbacks banged up. They certainly didn't want a third. They kept it pretty vanilla, and they still got some pressure. So I'm cool with it. Here in a second, we're going to talk a little bit about the running back room and some of the other things that they can do right after this message from LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for a small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you need to check out LinkedIn Jobs, because it has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Here's a great example. I used to use it to try to look for jobs when I was coming out of grad school, etc., whether it was an internship, whether it was a professional role, or somewhere in between. There's a category for everybody. And if you're trying to get a small business going, you can use those in reverse. It's very easy. Right now, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites because they don't have to. So if you're looking on LinkedIn, if you're not looking at LinkedIn, you're looking at the wrong place. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Now, here's the other part of this. As far as depth and just kind of looking at the roster, running back is loaded. Jalen Lucas is explosive. He's the kid. It's originally from the state of Louisiana, played at Indiana. Now he's with the Noles. Really like him. They're going to be able to use him on jet sweeps, screen passes, a lot of different things on the perimeter. He's not an inside runner. They tried to use that a couple of times and he got swallowed up. I think he's pretty much a perimeter player, somebody kind of like Ja'Kai Douglas, that if you get him in space, he's going to be a problem. Also, the running back room, guys like Sam Singleton, I mean, he's down the depth chart, but he's really talented. They have so many good players. Rodell had a great run for a touchdown, and they showed promise. Keziah had a nice patient run where he ran through a defender near the goal line and scored. Just depth. Tofili's really good. We knew that. He scored. These are easy things to look at, but don't take it for granted. You can never have enough running back depth because that's a position where a lot of guys get banged up. Didn't get to see Cam Davis, who was a little banged up. I was disappointed with that, but overall, that running back room is really deep. Also, the secondary, that's something else that I'm really happy about. Whether Azariah is really good. I mean, we knew that. Ventrell's really good, but everybody that was out there was a good football player. It wasn't just like 1 or 2 players. It just seems like DJ, even when he was completing passes, there were a couple where there was a bust or whatever, like on a short route, whatever. But for the most part, there was a guy in somebody's pocket. And that's the difference every day in practice between being good and just being kind of okay. For example, Kai Bates, the true freshman that I know that played at Orlando Edgewater, that's a big, rangy corner that brings natural college size right out the gate. He had some good moments today, and he's just one of many. Florida State secondary is going to be really good, but the depth's a little bit more than I even thought it would be because I didn't think Kai would be ready for that kind of situation yet. There's a lot to learn. He looked like he was in the moment, and he was doing all right. So if Florida State can continue on that path, bring some of these younger guys along, that secondary is going to be a real pain in the you-know-what for every team they play. When you got DBs, that's when your defensive line can really tee off. So that's good news. Also, really like Nicholson. The middle linebacker is a really sound and savvy football player. I think he's going to be good for the Noles. He's just always around the football. You know, that guy that you don't really mention him directly all the time, but you just see him every time the ball is down. He's either making the tackle or he's right next to it. Nicholson's that kind of guy. I think Florida State found a good one. On Monday, we're going to talk a little bit more about the spring game and some other recruiting stuff, but I just kind of wanted to go over some of my general thoughts from the spring game and kind of give you an overview. Hope everybody enjoyed it that got to see it. It was on ACC Network at 4 o'clock. I'm sure there'll be some reviews and whatnot coming up as well. That's going to do it here for Locked On Seminoles. I hope everybody has a great rest of their weekend.